Hey guys, this is Rahul, and I'm from the Chaos Gym. Welcome to our channel. Welcome to our videos. Welcome to our stuff. We um we plan on doing a lot of interesting and cool content, but so far, thank you guys for all the support and all the outreach you've given us. And we're already over 100 subscribers on YouTube with basically nothing out yet. A lot of likes on Facebook. A lot of you guys have been sharing and liking our posts. And yes, if we do get 1,000 subscribers on YouTube, I will dye the tips of my hair pink for a very short amount of time, not very long. My parents would probably kill me. But so this is like our deck profile segment, I guess. And as many of you guys know, I really like the card Vespiquen. I've been playing it for a really long time, and I usually paired it with Flareon, and during Standard in the past year, I had paired it with Raichu, Gallade, Zebstrika, uh, Swellow, all these weird attackers, just everything you could put into a deck. Bronzong, Aegislash, just whatever. Because Vespiquen is just such a splashable. It's just a DC to attack, and if you're playing a deck with a lot of Pokemon already, why not, right? So the core concept of this deck is just like old Vespiquen, but it's a little harder to execute because we don't have the four battle compressors anymore. So I'll explain some of the card choices. There's three Shaman in the deck to help us draw cards, and but I didn't feel like four would be necessary because they would feel like it would become more of a liability because we only have four Ultra Balls, and usually when we used to play old Vespiquen, if we had extra Shamans left in the deck or Shamans we wanted to get rid of, we can battle compress them away. So it's like they're not dead weight in the deck if we're getting item locked or hex locked or basically Garb locked because I think Garb is huge this format. So I decided three would be a good number to help you get started, like draw early cards, get rolling, the ball. This card is a super interesting inclusion, and you guys might not know what it does. So Klefki has an ability called Wonderlock. So once per turn, you discard it or you discard all the cards attached to it from your bench and attach it as a tool. And this prevents all damage done to that Pokemon by opponent's Mega Pokemon. Why is this important? Well, first off, and it gets discarded at the end of your turn, or your opponent's turn. So why is this important? Well, Klefki by itself is another three Pokemon we're adding to the deck because I'm playing three Klefki, and it gets discarded. So it's straight going to the discard. It's like it's basically an unknown with no draw power. But why play it now? Well, because I believe this format is going to be very very big with Mega Pokemon. Pokemon like Mega Rayquaza, Mega Gardevoir, Mega Scizor, Mega Steelix even, and the new Mega Beedrill. Like all these decks just seem very strong because Mega Pokemon's biggest weakness was Night March. And now that Night March is rotated and Battle Compressor based decks are kind of gone because there's no Battle Compressor to race, these Mega decks have time to set up, like Mega Mewtwo as well. Mega Mewtwo might be the biggest deck in my opinion going into this current format. And then you've got the Klefki itself will will keep your attacker safe, keep your DCE safe, and if they let the Lysand around it and take a prize, well, you still have your attacker for next turn, so you didn't really lose much. And well, there's no tool removal in this format except for like a Mincino or something that discards a tool. But if they're attacking with Mincino to discard your tool, they're not killing you regardless. So the main attacker of the deck is our boy Vespiquen here, whose attack is Be Revenge. 20 for 10 more Pokemon in the discard pile. So ideally, if we only had a 1-1, we only had our one Vespiquen out, and all 26 other Pokemon were in the discard by some miracle, we're swinging for 280 damage. We kill anything in this format, which is just the allure of the deck. And it's good in the early, the late, and mid game because early game you can two-shot or set up knockouts with Shaman and Zebstrika, and then late game you can just one-shot whatever you need to one-shot, and that's what I love about this deck. So we're going to go into some of our lesser common choices in the deck. We have Zebstrika, which is personally one of my favorite cards. Its ability is Zap Zone, which means all of your Lightning type Pokemon can go through all effects on the opponent's active Pokemon. I mean, you can go through things like Jirachi Promo, Aegislash, that kind of stuff. And so the Jirachi Promo might be important. You can't one-shot it because we no longer have Muscle Band, so that's a huge pain. But the main reason I play Zebstrika is because of the 50 plus 60 damage if they have fighting resistance. And 110 is perfect numbers to one-shot a Mega Rayquaza with weakness. You also deal with a lot, like, you also deal with Shaman EXs and just other random attackers in the format that have fighting resistance, like Yan Mega is a free kill. And so I just think this is a worthwhile inclusion. If your meta is, I guess, lacking in Rayquaza, Yan Mega decks, or like decks that rely heavily on Shaman, I could suggest replacing the Zebra line with Zoroark lines. Zoroark is also another potential attacker in the deck, which I also considered, but my area is more um, Rayquaza based and more like just Yan Mega based. And I expect those decks to be big early. And so based on my predictions, I think Zebstrika is an excellent secondary attacker. 50 is also like a good number to hit because it'll help Vespiquen set up a lot of knockouts, actually, just straight up with damage. So while I don't own the card, we're going to show it anyway. Uh, Garbodor. Why Garbodor, you might be asking yourself? Because without Garbodor, Greninja will run through you. Like, Greninja's just going to take you to town. Yan Mega might just pop off on you. There's probably some abilities I'm overlooking in this current format. Like I haven't explored everything yet. We're still new to the format. It's still fresh. Everyone's still touching it. Volcanian's really hard of a matchup. All these decks will just have a good time, and just the potential to ability lock them and slowly kill them with Vespiquen and Zebstrika means you have the edge on them. Like you can just win the game, and it's a free win because they don't have tool removal, and a lot of things can't Lysander and one-shot Garbodor in the same turn. If they can, good for them. Your attackers are alive. You can keep going. Probably set up a second one. If you don't need a Garbodor in any certain matchup, you discard the tools and the pieces of Garbodor. So you've automatically got four more Pokemon in the discard. That's 40 more damage. So I don't see a downside in it. Other options are taking away the Garbodor itself, putting in a Zoroark line again. Like Zoroark is also an excellent addition to the deck. I don't want to discount that by any means. I just don't have it in my list currently. Four unknown. The four unknown are just to help draw early game, like whatever. Just it's just a draw card. It gets another Pokemon in the discard. It gets a card into your hand. Drawing is always good in Pokemon, so why not draw cards, right? So that rounds out our 28 Pokemon. I like 28 as a number. Some people go lower, some people go higher. I think more Pokemon means you have less space for consistency cards, draw cards, and going lower means you're gonna have a lot of trouble hitting those numbers that you need to with big Mega Pokemon like Mega Scizor, Mega Mewtwo, all those like big Megas, because you don't want to have to be put in a situation where you're like 10 damage short and you're only playing three unknown and you wish you were playing that fourth, something like that. So I'll go into the supporters of the deck next, not the trainers, because the trainers are weirdly spread out. I don't understand what's going on. Yeah, they're weirdly spread out. So I chose to go with two Lysander in the deck because Lysander, early game, if you want to get around those big bulky threats, chances are your opponent has benched something that is either a free prize or a free two prizes, Shaman namely, other things like just weaker EXs are still prevalent. So if you Lysander and pull them up, it's just a free two prizes early game. You're putting pressure on them, and having Lysander prized, like if you have a one Lysander prized, it could be game losing potentially. So that's something I wanted to avoid. I play one in, simple standard late game. I need an N. I need to shuffle my hand in, whatever, blah blah blah. Here's where things get spicy. This is something I've been trying out. You don't have to follow me on this one. This is just something I've been trying out. So before I had four Sycamore in the deck for clear cut reasons, drawing cards. But recently I've been experimenting with cutting a Sycamore and adding a Psychic's Third Eye. So what Psychic's Third Eye does is your opponent reveals his or her hand, and then you discard as many cards as you like from your hand and draw the same amount of cards. So what this does is you get information on your opponent's hand, kind of see what they're doing, and if you have a hand, for example, like Vespiquen, DCE, like two zebras or something, like a bunch of important cards that you need, and like you're just digging for like one more piece, like you're digging for that DCE or you're digging for that Pokemon, but you can't discard some of these crucial pieces because they're like their last bit of tools, or like it's your special charge, or like it's just important, and you need that for later in the game. Psychic's Third Eye comes in handy because you can use Psychic's Third Eye, discard one or two cards, and dig deeper into your deck. And with four unknowns, four Acrobikes, and three Shavens, and four Ultra Balls, we have so much draw power to hit. So Psychic Third Eye is just something I've been experimenting with. It's 50-50 right now. There's games where I just don't use it whatsoever, and there's some games where it's like the best card I've ever played. I'll like Psychic Third Eye for like four cards, and then like the remaining cards in my hand are like Special Charge and like a Vespiquen, and then like I draw the cards I need, and then I'm set for next turn. And it's just golden. But if you don't like to take risks and do things for the memes like I do, um, the fourth Sycamore would be your better option, probably. I go with one Teammates as well, because Teammates is just a very strong card in this kind of a deck where if one of your attackers gets knocked out and they don't have an answer, you can just go Teammates with a Combi on the field, like Vespiquen DCE, thanks for playing, or like Zebra DCE, or set up something for next turn, like get a VS Seeker for a Lysander, or get the Lysander itself. Teammates is just a really strong card. I don't know how strong it'll be, but I've been toying with it, and I really like Teammates. I didn't like it last format, but the last format just felt too slow. But this format, like getting those one, two, that exact two card combination you need, is a lot stronger than it used to be. So I'll go into the trainers a little bit. We've got four Acrobikes. The four Acrobikes are meant to draw. Acrobike, let's look at the top two cards of the deck, put one in your hand, put the one in the discard. So it serves as a double-edged sword. It serves to draw and get a Pokemon in the discard if you need it to be, but it also could be very detrimental when you're discarding resources. So you have to know, am I digging at the right time? Am I digging for the right cards? Or is this just pointless? Am I just playing this Acrobike for the sake of playing the Acrobike? So something like you need to realize in a deck like this where you have very limited resources to work with, you have to be very careful with your Acrobikes at times. And then we have got the one Special Charge. Putting two, like the only energy we play in this deck is DCE. So putting two DCE back in the deck is just huge because that gives us roughly six to work with, and all of our attackers only require DCEs. So having six full-fledged attackers means we could potentially force our opponent to take all six prize cards in a game. I have one Super Rod in the deck right now. I'm not entirely sure how good it is yet. It's either a Super Rod or it's going to be a Revitalizer in the future potentially. Because Super Rod is maybe to get Garb pieces back, get Unknowns back, get pieces of Vespiquen or Zebra back, and it's mostly to get Pokemon back in your deck that you discarded early that you didn't want to. Like say you had to discard two Vespiquens early in the game, or you had to discard both pieces of Garb, and you're playing against Greninja and you need those Garbs back. Um, it's just an excellent recovery tool. Um, Not much else to say about Super Rod, I think. For Ultra Ball, pretty standard. Discard two, get a Pokemon from your deck. You can get Shamans, you can get Unknowns, you can get literally whatever you need. Ultra Ball is the Ultra Ball is the engine. The Ultra Ball Shaman engine is the what keeps the deck going. It's what pushes it forward and gives it that oomph over other decks, I think. The four VS Seekers is pretty standard, self-explanatory. You've got a lot of supporters in the deck. You've got a lot of things you want to reuse. Having that four VS Seekers means you can get the supporter you need after you've used it or put it in the discard. The only downside being, with Battle Compressor being gone, we can't really cherry pick and put what supporters we want in the discard and use them at a later time. We have to actually have access to them being in the discard. So it's a little more difficult to use the four VS Seekers, but they're still a very good card, and I don't think you should go lower than four in a deck like this. And we're going to go to Stadium cards, I guess, next. This is all sorted out in a weird way. Thanks, PTCGO. So I'm playing two Faded Town. And what Faded Town does is, anytime between turns, put two damage counters on Mega Pokemon. So the biggest problem with Vespiquen is those Mega Pokemon that are just so bulky, we can't one-shot them. And if we can't one-shot or even two-shot them, they start to become a huge problem because they have something set up, and we need a lot of resources to get something going, right? We need to have like a 1-1 Vespiquen line. So we need a Combi, we need a Vespiquen, we need a DCE, and we need to be able to get something out of the active and smack them with it. And if we can't get all those pieces, they're literally just going to go attack, knockout, attack, knockout, attack, knockout, and we'll lose eventually. So Faded Town, what it really helps with is if they can't answer Faded Town, even just putting it down for one turn, and if they can answer it on their turn, you're doing 20 damage. That's 20 more damage that you wouldn't have had otherwise, and that every damage like point of damage matters for Vespiquen, especially since you'll more than likely get to like 160, 170 damage very easily, but that last like little bit of damage to KO the Megas is the most difficult part. If they can't answer Faded Town on their turn, they're taking 40 damage total, and you're making that Mega Pokemon look like a normal EX. And when you do something like that, Mega Pokemon take a lot of resources to power up. So I don't expect anybody to ever power up more than two Mega Pokemon in a game. So if you can knock out both their Megas and maybe a Shaman, the game is yours. It's over. And Faded Town will really accelerate that process in the early game. Um, could be great in the late game too. I've just been using it in the early game primarily, and it's a lifesaver. It really is. It'll put you back in games that you probably wouldn't have had a shot in otherwise. The other stadium I'm playing is a one count of Parallel City. So what Parallel City does is if I have to go really hard with Shamans early and fill up my bench to two Shamans, that's four prizes as a liability that's sitting on my bench. And my deck is what, one prize attackers. That's the point of the deck. One prize attackers that are incredibly difficult to deal with. But with Parallel City, I can bump those Shamans into my discard and just not worry about it. And that's why I like the card, and it also like reduces damage from like things like Greninja, I guess, and some other stuff. But that's lesser aspect of it. The bigger aspect is to get rid of Shamans on your own bench, or like a matchup where like you don't need Garb or something. Like you open a Trubbish, you set up a Garb, and then you like get rid of it with Parallel City, and so you're getting rid of some Pokemon on your bench. Like if you get rid of like say it's two Zebra lines or something off your own bench, that's four more Pokemon in the discard, and it's a huge swing card. And then the tools are three Float Stones. Pretty simple. Garbodor needs tools to activate. I could put Klefki on it every turn and get tools back on my turn, which is pretty cute. I really like that. But Float Stone is much better just because I can. Garbodor's fat. It's really fat, and then like everything in my deck has a retreat cost except for Vespiquen, which and with only 4 DCEs, I don't want to dedicate a DCE to retreat. I really don't. Like that would be devastating for the point of the deck. So the three float stones are basically to get things out of the active spot, get Garbodor activated, get him shutting down tools or abilities, sorry, and that's pretty self-explanatory. And the only energy we play is 4 DCE because everything in our deck, Vespiquen, Zebras, they all use DC, double colorless energy to attack. Even Shaman, if you need to attack with Shaman, which isn't a bad attack. So it's like, why play basic energy? I don't expect Giratina will be huge, and even if Giratina is big, we have ways to deal with it. Like we just go around Giratina or like play a Ranger. If you think Giratina is going to be big, make this Psychic's third eye into a Pokemon Ranger. Why not? You just win the game. So that's basically my analysis. I built this deck with three big decks in mind. I built it with Greninja in mind. The Garbodor is a really good addition for Greninja and Vespiquen. If you have the Garbodor Vespiquen combo out, you shouldn't lose to Greninja because they cannot one-shot anything. And so you're killing things much faster than they can answer. And then the Zebstrika deals with the Talon Flames that they will more than likely open with. The Talon Flame, sorry. The secondary deck is Mega Rayquaza, which I think is a really good deck in this format. And I think it's very strong and people underrate it. There are many counters to the deck, but in countering the deck, you're losing a lot of consistency and stuff other than other places. And so Zebstrika is a secondary attacker that also serves as a hard counter to Rayquaza. It one-shots Rays, so they literally have to be like, hey, we can't do anything to the Zebras. We have to kill them the moment they hit the board. And if I get two Zebras out, or even all three of them, the Rayquaza player is pretty much lost. And then when it gets to the late game, say they get rid of all my Zebras, Vespiquen will be hitting for enough damage that it'll kill anything on their field. And then the third big deck that I think will be big is Mega Mewtwo. Sorry. And Mega Mewtwo relies on using Damage Swap to knock out your Pokemon. And with Faded Town and I can Shaman like once or twice, get a little bit of damage on them, and then Vespiquen can usually handle big Mega decks just because of all the Pokemon. The only like poor scenarios is when I have a lot of Pokemon prized, or I have my Faded Town doesn't stick. Like even one turn of Faded Town can be big, but like if I like play Faded Town and like they immediately bump it with Dimension Valley and it happens once more, I could be in a lot of trouble. But other than that, like the whole like deck concept is pretty standard and pretty self-explanatory. So this is like our first little deck profile. Sorry if it was a little long. I didn't mean it to be. Let me know if you guys enjoyed this. What else you'd like to see. Um, we'll be streaming Sundays at 2 p.m. Other days to be determined. As of now, we're all students, all working people. So unfortunately, we don't have all the free time in the world. But we are intending on helping this community grow, and we'd like to help you guys in any way possible. So thank you for watching. If you liked it, please leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe. Um, we'll be sure to pump out more video content. We have some exciting stuff coming up in the next couple of days, next couple of weeks, leading up to Orlando Regionals, which is October 15th. Be there. It'll be fun. We'll all be there, so you can come meet us in person. So thank you for watching, and once again, we are the Chaos Gym.